3 days before her husband died, their dog wouldn't leave the bedroom. He had never done that before, not once in 9 years. He just sat there, at the foot of the bed, watching. She thought he was just being clingy, a little anxious maybe. She told him to go lie down in the hallway. He didn't move. She didn't understand until later. Can dogs sense death before it happens? Science has spent years trying to answer that question, and what researchers found stopped them cold. The answer isn't what most people expect, and it changes everything about how you see your dog. Most people land in one of two places when they hear a story like that. Some say it's a gift, a sixth sense, something ancient and mysterious, something that lives beyond what science can touch. Others say it's coincidence, pattern recognition. We see what we want to see, especially in grief. Both sides feel certain. Both sides have argued this for decades, and both sides are missing the real answer. Because what scientists discovered about how dogs actually perceive the world around dying people, it's neither magic nor coincidence. It's something far more fascinating than either. Dogs don't have a sixth sense. What they have is something scientists are only beginning to fully understand. A biological system so precise, so sensitive that it makes our best medical equipment look primitive by comparison. And when someone is dying, that system picks up something invisible, something we cannot smell, cannot see, cannot measure yet. But your dog can. To understand what that something is, I need to tell you about a study that shook the medical world. And a cat named Oscar, Steer House Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, Providence, Rhode Island. In 2005, a small gray cat arrived at the facility. His name was Oscar, and from the beginning, he wasn't particularly friendly. He didn't seek attention. He didn't curl up with just anyone. Staff described him as aloof, the kind of cat who seemed to be there on his own terms. But a few months in, something strange started happening. Oscar began making rounds. He would walk the hallways slowly, pause outside rooms, sometimes enter, and when he chose a patient when he walked in, settled himself on the bed, and stayed, the nurses began to notice something. That patient would usually be gone within 4 hours. Oscar wasn't friendly. He wasn't a therapy animal in the traditional sense. But when he walked into a room and chose someone, the nurses stopped what they were doing. Because they knew Oscar had made his call. Dr. David Dosa, a geriatrician at Brown University, began documenting this. He published his findings in the New England Journal of Medicine. Over 5 years, Oscar made more than 50 accurate predictions. The staff started calling families the moment Oscar sat down beside a patient. It usually meant less than 4 hours. Dr. Joan Tenno, a Brown University expert on end-of-life care, said something that has stayed with researchers ever since. Oscar was better at predicting death than the people who worked there, better than the doctors, better than the nurses who had spent decades in that building. A cat, in a hallway. So how? The answer starts with something you've probably never thought about, something happening inside every dying body, something with a smell. As the body begins to shut down, something changes at the cellular level. Dying cells break down carbohydrates. That process releases chemicals, compounds called ketones, along with a broader family of molecules scientists call volatile organic compounds, VOCs. These chemicals have a signature, a very specific, measurable scent profile that shifts as the body moves closer to death. You can't smell it. I can't smell it. The person in the room with the dying patient cannot smell it. But a dog with up to 300 million olfactory receptors compared to our 5 million can detect these compounds at concentrations so minute they barely register on laboratory instruments. Research from Penn Vet's Working Dog Center has demonstrated that dogs can identify volatile organic compounds from cancer cells at extraordinarily low concentrations earlier than imaging, earlier than blood work, earlier than any symptom a human would notice. Dogs have been trained to detect lung cancer, ovarian cancer, melanoma, even COVID-19, all by smell. Death, it turns out, has a scent, and your dog has always been able to smell it. But smell is only the first layer, because some dogs respond to dying people who are across the room or in another part of the house entirely. Scent alone doesn't explain that. There's something else happening, something even more remarkable. Dogs don't just smell the world, they read it. Breathing patterns, body temperature, the rhythm of movement, the way you shift your weight when you stand, the way your daily routine unfolds, the times you wake, the routes you walk, the sounds you make in an ordinary hour. To you, these things are invisible, automatic. You don't think about them. To your dog, they are a language. A person who is dying breathes differently. The rhythm changes, the depth changes, body temperature shifts in ways that a dog, pressed close against someone they love, can feel through their skin. Movement slows. Patterns dissolve. The walk to the kitchen that used to happen at 7 in the morning doesn't happen anymore. The sound of footsteps that your dog has memorized over years changes. Every single one of those signals registers, not as data, not as analysis, as something felt instinctively by an animal who has spent its entire life calibrating itself to you. And here's the part that surprised me most when I started researching this. It's not just about detecting death. Dogs don't just sense it, they respond to it in a way that, when you understand the science behind it, will completely change how you see that moment when your dog won't leave someone's side. In 2022, researchers published something that quietly shifted how scientists think about dogs and loss. In a study of dogs who had lost a companion, another dog, a person close to them, 86.6%, showed clear symptoms of grief. Not confusion, not boredom, grief. They howled, they lay near the body, they stopped eating, they moved through the house searching. But here's the part that stops you cold. The dogs who were allowed to see the body of their lost companion searched less afterward. They understood that something had changed. They needed to know. They needed that moment of recognition, the same way we do. The dogs who were not allowed to see the body continued searching, sometimes for weeks. They needed closure the same way we need closure. Dogs in hospice settings are now used formally as comfort animals recognized by the ASPCA and used in end-of-life care programs across the country because something happens when a dog enters that room. Something the dying person feels, and something the dog feels too. So here's the question I kept returning to while I was researching this. If dogs can smell the chemicals of dying cells, if they can read the invisible shifts in behavior, if they grieve and understand loss in ways we are only beginning to measure, then what are they actually doing when they sit beside a dying person? What is your dog feeling in that moment? The answer to that question is the most important thing in this video, and I've been saving it for right now. Your dog doesn't understand death the way you do. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't fear it the way we fear it, as an abstraction, a future, a weight we carry in our minds for years before it arrives. What he knows is you, your smell, your rhythm, your warmth. And when that changes, when the person he loves begins to feel different, to smell different, to move differently, he doesn't pull away. He moves closer, not because he senses the end, because he senses that you need him. That is not a sixth sense. That is love operating at a level we are only beginning to understand. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Most of us, when our dog starts behaving strangely around a sick family member, dismiss it. We say, he's just being clingy. He's picking up on the stress in the house. He's anxious. But what if that behavior is information? What if your dog is trying to communicate something that no one else in the room has the biology to perceive? Hospice nurses have said this quietly, among themselves, for years. When the dog won't leave, pay attention, not out of fear, out of love. So, can dogs sense death before it happens? Here is what the science actually says. Yes, but not the way most people imagine. There is no sixth sense. No supernatural gift passed down through some ancient channel between species. What there is something more extraordinary. Layer 1. Smell. As the body begins to shut down, dying cells release chemical compounds, ketones, and other volatile organic compounds that carry a specific biological signature. Your dog's 300 million olfactory receptors detect these changes long before any human in the room notices anything at all. This is verified science, not theory. Layer 2. Behavior reading. Dogs have spent their entire lives memorizing you, your breathing, your rhythm, your routine. When those patterns begin to shift, even in ways no instrument could measure, your dog notices before you do, sometimes before your doctor does. Layer 3. Bond. Dogs don't understand death as a concept, but they understand presence and absence. And when someone they love begins to slip away, they respond the only way they know how. They stay. That dog who wouldn't leave the bedroom 3 days before, he wasn't predicting death. He was responding to love. With everything he had, the woman from the beginning of this video, the one whose dog sat at the foot of the bed, she said something I haven't been able to forget. She said, "I used to think he was just a dog. Now I think he was the only one in the house who truly understood what was happening. And he didn't run from it. He stayed." You watching this video, asking this question, that's not morbid. That's love. The same kind your dog has always had for you. If this changed how you see your dog, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Have you ever had a moment where your dog seemed to know something you didn't? Tell me below. And there's one more thing: most dog owners never think about how your dog grieves after you're gone. I made a video about exactly that. Watch it next. The link is right here. Subscribe, because every week I explain what your dog is trying to tell you.